What's up, guys? Adam back again with the RV Returners with Chris Adams doing some Opus 6 reviews. This is our first review of many. So, what do you think about Fire, Chris?
You mean like the current state of Fire, or how I think they're going to be after Opus 6 releases?
Let's go with both.
I think the current state of Fire is they're a great splash element. And after Opus 6, I think they'll still be a great splash element.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into some cards, see if we can make Fire any better.
Oh, man, I hope so.
All right, so the first forward we have is Ward. He's a 4 CP, 8K. Job Warrior forwards. Other than Ward, you control gain plus 2,000 power.
Um, I think he's okay. I think there's one warrior in particular we'll see here in a little bit that I think he plays really well with, and the fact that he is Category 8 is kind of sinks into that. But otherwise, I don't know. I mean, he's kind of a build-around card if you're playing with warrior-type cards, but I don't know if there how many of them there are.
There's a few. So, like the old Warrior of Lights, like the Fire one, is a warrior. The standard unit buffer is a warrior. The old Ramza and Delita are both warriors.
Okay, so there are a few then.
There's a few. Again, I don't know if he's going to be much relevant though. To be honest, I don't see some warrior archetype just like springing out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, just because of this card. So yeah, I don't think he's that great. Next up, we got the first legend, 5 CP, 9K Garland. He's a knight. If you control a job princess, the job knight forward you control gain brave. And he has 2 S abilities. So it's the second card in the history of the game that has 2 S's. So the first one is choose one forward, deal at 7K. That's for an S and a fire. For an S, 2 fire and 1 colorless, choose one forward, break it, and deal 5K to all forwards opponents control.
I like this guy a lot, and I think when you start talking about like the fire water night build that people have been kind of murmuring since this guy was spoiled, he's kind of like Light Zidane to me in the fact that he rewards you for playing good cards. Like he's going to reward you for playing Ash, for playing Beatrix, for playing Steiner. And I feel like once he's on the board, he's a threat. Like giving a Steiner and Beatrix Brave and threatening to break something with, I think the card's really, really good.
Yeah,
So,
I think he's solid. My worry is like I don't think Fire has enough to warrant putting this in Knights without losing consistency, just for the sake of playing Garland. Maybe though. I wish that there was just a princess like on color, and I was kind of hoping there was one in particular that was gonna be, and we'll get to her in a second because she's not, which I think is kind of a letdown a little bit. I don't know if he's gonna see play yet, but he's something definitely to look at in the future, and he's probably the best Garland they printed. So,
oh, hands down, hands down. This guy, I think he's a really good card.
So next up we got the 3 CP guy. He's a 7K. Job Rebel. He has Brave. For each Category 2 character other than Guy you control, Guy gains 1,000 power. And when Guy is put from the field to the break zone, activate all forwards you control.
I think at first glance he's a really good card, but I think how good he'll really be will be determined by how good this rebel kind of rebel tribal deck could be. I think first of all, I'll say I think he's fantastic in title. He'll be the backbone of that deck because he'll just be a big fat beater. But I think in constructed, he'll be as good as that archetype will allow him to be.
Yeah, I agree. The only reason I would rate this guy kind of high is because I think the other cards are pretty good just to have like a small package. Even if it's just in Fire, he might be good enough just to make like Therion might be good enough to make this guy good, and we'll get to him later as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think he's pretty solid. Next up, we got another Final Fantasy VIII forward. It's Kyros. He's a 2 CP 5K. When he enters the field, choose one forward other than Kyros that you control. Gains plus 2,000 power. Go into turn. And if it's a Category 8 forward, it also gains haste, first strike, and brave.
Well, and this was the warrior I was talking about. That I like the fact that he kind of plays well with Ward. I think that's kind of neat. But other than that, like I see him really being like he's a title superstar, if you ask me. Like obviously you're playing a Category 8 deck. This guy is a stud, especially with like Renoa. If you can blink him to have that effect with like 2 people, which I think is also relevant in maybe a Category 8 focused fire ice deck as well. So I think he has potential. I just don't know what I'd have to really play around with it.
Yeah, I think like you said in title he's really good, but I think he's gonna fall short. I don't think that deck's gonna be better than in another Fire Ice deck that we could probably put together. I guess if you really wanted to play FFA Fire Ice, you could, but
Mm-hmm.
like I think it's less optimal in my opinion right now. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong. Maybe this guy's great. I mean, giving 3 keywords is amazing. That
Mm-hmm.
in itself is really good. But he just doesn't have a lot to play with in his own element outside of another card that we're gonna talk about in a second, and Ward and the old like Zell and the old. Um, I think there's another card. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think he's okay. But I don't think he's gonna see much play in standard.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Yeah. So next up we got 2 CP backup. It's Illusionist, standard unit, tap break. Choose one forward. It must attack this turn if possible.
I don't know. I think this card is interesting. It's risky, because at the end of the day, it could end up losing you the game. But I think you're going to need like maybe right now it's not good, but maybe down the road we'll have a forward that really benefits from blocking more so. Maybe I could see this in Fire Lightning if you're running the new Cipher. But I don't know. This card's just a little weird and risky right now.
I think okay. So again, I don't know if this is really relevant, but the card that I think this works well with is Zed, Ice Forward.
Sure. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you're forced to attack
I can
into
see that.
him, but again, I don't know if that's like a valid deck right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a cool interaction.
Yeah.
But
I
maybe
didn't
like
think about that.
yeah, maybe forcing some small dudes to attack when they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, the thing you really want to use this on is like Alua, but you can't. So
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, and it is to note that it doesn't have to be your first attack, but you do have to attack before you pass your attack phase if this is used. That was
Yep.
specified, and you can still party attack and whatnot. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of limited, but it's a 2 CP backup that does something kind of niche, which is cool.
Absolutely.
Next up, we got 1 CP Evoker, so we'll go ahead and move past that.
Well, hold on now. So we're getting reprints of the 1 CP backups. Man, tinfoil hat on. Does this mean that we could potentially be seeing a rotation down the line, or maybe were these put in here for making the set more limited friendly?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure yet, but I think it probably does mean a rotation. But that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, there's a good chance I'm gonna harp on this in every single one that I'm in. So buckle up.
So yeah, another 2 CP backup is Cornelia, and this is the card I was talking about that I really wish was a princess, but it's not. Her job's girl.
Yeah.
When Cornelia enters the field, all forwards you control gain plus 1,000 power until end of turn. For 1 fire tap, return it to your hand.
I don't know. There's not much happening there. I do think maybe there's a neat interaction there with Legendary Ball Fear if you're playing Wind Fire of some sort, but we're kind of getting off the rails there. So I don't know. Maybe there's a neat interaction there that I'm missing, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think she's that great, but I mean, a recurable like anthem that you can play every turn that stacks with the other anthem might be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that it was like just tap, return it to your hand, not
Mm-hmm.
one fire. I feel like that'd make her a lot better. But she has a
Mm-hmm.
2 CP backup, so like good see play.
Sure.
Next up, we got Goblin. He's a 2 CP monster.
Mm-hmm.
For 0 until end of turn, he becomes a forward with 5,000 power. When he attacks, choose one forward, deal it 1,000 damage.
Mm-hmm. It's a 0 activate. I think it costs 2. I think it's fine. It could probably have some really neat interactions because you can just choose a forward. It can be your own. It can be somebody else's. I don't know, but again, I think it's a crowded space for monsters like this, and I just don't know where this goes.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part. I think he's kind of interesting. You could like use it on your own Dottaluma and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think that might be the most unique interaction there. You have him attack, Dottaluma going to put 4K onto something. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, he is on curve.
Yeah.
2 CP, 5K that you activate for free, so that's pretty decent, and he's harder
Yeah.
to deal with. So maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
So next up, we got Sid, Final Fantasy 11. He's a 4 CP backup. When he enters the field, select one of the two. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 card among them to your hand. Put the rest on in your break zone. Sorry. And all forwards you control gain plus 3,000 power until end of turn.
Well, he definitely has the doofiest face in all of the game, that's for sure. But I don't know. At the cost of 4 and you're putting 2 cards into the break zone, you get to kind of filter a little bit. And I know we talked about this on our podcast. I don't know. I think maybe, if anything, I think the second ability is a little more relevant because, that could set up a turn with like a Rising Phoenix with Saban that now none of your guys are going to die, and it turns Saban into a one-sided board wipe. That's really about it.
I think in like Fire Earth, the first ability could be okay because since Earth has just tons of recursion, ways to get
Yeah, I
stuff
can see
back,
that.
and it still lets you like kind of do that brainstorm for a card, but it's worse than Forum because it's also not a
Mm,
burst.
yeah,
So, and maybe I mean, the second 3,000 power is a lot to swing your
yeah,
board. So maybe I don't think it's terrible.
sure.
I think it's just I don't know where you put it.
Yeah.
So next up we have Vermilion Bird Lassie K-Tuna or Bird Lady. She's a
Bird girl.
6 CP backup. If a forward is dealt damage by a fire summon, the damage is increased by 1,000 instead. Worth noting that it just says fire summon, so I think it affects your opponents too. When
Hmm.
Vermilion Bird Lassie K-Tuna enters the field, you may search for one fire summon of cost 4 or less and cast it without paying the cost. If you do not cast it, put the summon in the break zone.
I think it's good. It actually does say damaged by your fire summon.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
So I think if fire's going to be good, I think this card is going to be the backbone of that. Um, I think yes, it costs 6, but I think you're getting a lot of value as the game goes on. Your Bahamut's are now doing 9. Your EX Burst Brynhilders are now doing 8. It makes your Ifrits better. I think this card is really, really good. And when fire's on its comeuppance that it's going to be on, I think this is the card that's going to help that.
Yeah, I agree. I think if like a Mono Fire deck is good this set, I think it's gonna have this card in it.
I agree.
So we'll see though. I'm definitely gonna give it a try for sure. I'm interested in this card. I think it does a lot,
Yeah,
even though it costs
yeah,
6.
and I know you've expressed that you will be doing some serious tap dancing if you can play this thing off of a Opus One Orn, right?
Yeah,
Was it
the heroic Orin, the one that
the
when he does
heroic Orn? Yeah,
damage, yeah, when he does damage, you can play a fire backup for free from your hand. So
yeah. Because you start that chain of events, I better hear some soft shoe coming from your table. That's all I'm
I
saying.
bought some new shoes just for
Love
the
that.
occasion. So next up we got Dominion Legionary. He's a 4 CP backup standard unit.
Mm-hmm.
When he enters the field, you can search for a card named Dominion Legionary, add it to your hand, tap, break, choose an attacking forward, gets 1,000 power until end of turn.
I don't know. I think cards that search for other cards are never terrible because I mean it's essentially costing you 2, and you immediately have a replacement for it. I think this card goes better, not with its own tap break ability, but I think this card is good with new Furion. And we'll talk about him more, but I think that's where this card actually would shine.
Yeah, I kind of think this card's bad, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong. I mean, yeah, it does tutor for itself. It gets you a card. But that means you have to run more than one of this card.
Right, therein lies the problem.
So, yeah, I'm not feeling this card at all. I just don't like it. I think it's too expensive, and unless they print another Dominion Legionary that's just good, I don't know. And 1K is just doesn't seem great.
No, it's not enough. It's not enough for fire.
So next up we got Zell. He's a 4 CP forward, 4K power.
Mm-hmm.
He has haste. When he enters the field, choose one of 2. Choose a forward opponent controls, deal damage equal to Zell's power, or choose one monster costs 2 or less. Opponent controls, break it.
I like this card. I've come around on it. When I initially saw him, I thought he was just an absolute chicken wuss. No, I think there was a line here where this card could have been like a rock star for fire. Like if he had 2K more power, I think he would have been onto something. But I think he's actually really, really fine, right? Because he comes in, he has haste, he is putting 4K onto something. He's doing what Opus One Heroic Furion was doing, except this guy can swing. Or if you're playing against a deck that has monsters, he can break one of those monsters. I think the reason I came around on him is the Earth Wind deck is very real, and Layark is in that deck, and I think this guy can kind of help punish that Layark. That they swing out and there's a Layark, and you jam this guy and break that Layark, you might just win the game for them overextending. So I don't know. Like it's very niche, but I think the card's good.
Yeah, I think he's pretty solid. I do think he could have been better for sure if you
Oh,
just
me
give him
too.
plus 2,000 power and take the haste away.
Hmm.
Because then I think with just one other card, he's going to kill a 3 CP on entry or a
Absolutely.
monster. However, I mean, sometimes the haste might be better in certain situations. It's allow him to get in right away.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and there are ways to boost his power, but it's going to be really hard to boost it to a point where you're killing like something really good. He's going to have to
Yeah.
combo with like something else, like maybe like a Sid Reigns or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's where he's going to shine. He's literally doing the same thing that Furion was doing.
Yeah, just on a
Um,
smaller body, and yeah, and
yeah,
you have haste.
yeah.
So, next up, we got Selfie. She's a 3 CP EX burst backup.
Hmm.
When she enters the field, you may search for one job seed candidate forward and add it to your hand.
I like it. She's searching up new. There's a new Squall that's seed candidate. There are pretty much all the versions of Squall except for like the rare ones are seed candidate.
Most of the squalls are actually marked as just seed right now.
Are they okay? And I know new Zell she can search. The new Cipher she can search. So
All the ciphers. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So she has targets, but I think she's kind of narrow. Obviously, you're playing her in a deck that's focused around these characters. So I think she is fantastic entitled, just like Kyros.
Yeah, I think in title she's really good. If Zell's good, she's gonna be really good. Honestly,
I
like if
don't disagree with that.
yeah, if Zell sees a ton of play, this is gonna see at least play as a one of in the decks that Zell's running. Just
Yep.
because, like, why not?
You can search them out. Nothing wrong with that.
So yeah, I mean that's really the extent of her, in my opinion. The next up we have Warrior. It's a 5 CP forward, 9K standard unit. When Warrior attacks, it gains plus 2,000 power until end of turn.
I think it's okay. It's kind of in a crowded space. And I don't know where it would see play, but the first thing I thought of is maybe this guy in like Fire Earth swing, make him an 11K. You can Hecaton chair something and then do something else. But I mean, I don't know. He's just kind of vanilla, really.
Yeah,
But,
I don't think he's that good. Honestly,
mm-hmm.
I don't think this is gonna see much play at all. And like it seems like the best fire standard units are just like really cheap guys. Like like the Warrior from Opus 5 is really
Yep.
good. And so I
Mm-hmm.
don't really feel like he fits that theme. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean I don't think this is gonna see any play at least right now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Like I was looking for like a trick, and that's all he's got.
Yeah. Next up we got Soldier, another standard unit for fire. He's a 3 CP,
Mm-hmm.
7K. For 2 colorless, he gains plus 1,000 power until end of turn.
Barf.
Yeah, I think it's too expensive for what it
Yep.
is. I mean, I guess like if you think about it, Saban costs 2 to do that only on attack, but he's plus 2K. This is plus 1. So,
Right.
but Saban's only
And
attacking, and this is anytime you want. I don't know. It's not gonna see play.
yeah.
Honestly, I'm just
Yeah,
trying to think of
you
ways.
just did what I did. You tried to
Yeah,
find a silver lining on an otherwise mediocre card.
yeah. I mean, this card kind of sucks, honestly. But
Yeah.
it might not be bad in sealed.
No, sure, I can see that.
Next up, we got everybody's favorite heroic, the Dark Lord. He's a 3 CP forward, job king. He's at 8K power. When he enters the field, remove the top 10 cards of your deck from the game. And at the beginning of your attack phase, choose one forward, deal at 3,000 damage.
I don't like this guy at all, but I've seen people like I don't know if they're just trolling or if they want to like try because I mean he's a 3 mana 8K that no, I'm not even going to try to justify it. This guy's bad. This card is bad. Why am I going to play a 23 CP 8K other than like I think it just puts you in just such a bad position. Now, if he had like haste or something, or like something that where like he got like something immediate when he came into play, then maybe I'd consider it. But you lose you're not only are you losing 10 cards, you're losing them blindly off the top. Like what if like your win cons and like your beaters just start flipping off the top and it's like, well, I'm probably going to lose this game now because all of my removal just got removed from the game. All of my beaters just got removed from the game. This guy is not good.
Yeah, I think he's bad. I do think in Seal, though, maybe you play him just because there's not as much removal in Seal typically.
Uh-huh.
And he's a 3 CP 8K that's dealing 3K to something that can allow you to swing up. But you are losing a fourth of your deck in sealed, so
Yeah.
you better win fast.
Yeah. I think if you want to be the ultimate troll, you play this guy, then you Renoa him and just
Lose
game
faster.
that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So next up, we got. I'll take this one first, actually.
Go nuts.
So we have a 4 CP summon Bahamut. He's an EX burst. Choose one forward, deal at 10K. Bahamut deals you 1 point of damage. EX burst put into the damage zone due to this damage cannot be used. All right, this card's terrible. This card is
Mm-hmm.
I think this card's worse than Dark Lord. I really
Mm-hmm.
do. So first off, you give Fire a 4 CP EX burst that actually does damage. However, you make it do damage to yourself, and your bursts don't go off. So if this comes off the top as a burst and you choose to use it, the forward that just hit you technically just did you 2 points of damage, even if you kill it. Like,
Yep.
it blows my mind. Why can't Fire just have a good removal spell with like no drawback? Like, I I don't get it. You can take it now.
No, no, no. I think you've kind of shored that one up. Like, I think this kind of falls in the same category as Zell, right? Where like this card had the potential to be what Fire needed to really, get themselves back in the game here. Though I think while Zell is still playable, I think this card is just not good at all because, like you said, something swings on you, you flip this, you've taken 2 points of damage, which okay, I'll trade whatever forward I have on the board for 2 points of damage. Um, it would have been better if maybe you could use the EX burst off that point of damage. Because I think maybe if you like did that into like a Brynhildr, like maybe you'd be in a better position, right? But no, we're not dealing in what ifs. We're dealing in what we have, and this card just isn't good.
Yeah, it's terrible. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
at first glance, I think this might be the worst card in the set. Not even fronting.
Oh yeah.
But I'll have to like look at everything
Mm-hmm.
another once over. But I think this might be the worst card in the set. So next up we
I
got
wouldn't disagree.
yeah, next up we got another Bahamut. It's Neo Bahamut. You can only cast Neo Bahamut during your main phase. Choose one forward, deal it 8,000 damage, and discard all cards from your hand.
Um, I think this is fine. And again, I don't think this is a great card, but I think it's fine in those real fast, vomity, like fire aggro decks where you're kind of playing off the top anyway. Um, Again, this is another, like, we're looking at another fire card that they just, like, this could have been a good summon for them that they didn't let them have it. They just didn't want them to have it.
Yeah, I don't think this is quite as bad as I don't think this is close to as bad as the last card, honestly.
Not sure.
So yeah, like you said in Fast Decks, it's gonna be cheap 8k damage, which isn't terrible at the cost
Sure.
of your hand. Usually you'll just play it when your hand's like one card or zero cards after this.
Exactly.
So there's not much drawback there. However, I think the big drawback is the fact that you can only play it during your main phase.
Yeah.
I think that's the bigger drawback.
It's the only sorcery speed using air quotes there summon that's in the game, I believe.
I think you're probably right. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
It is worthy to note that if the forward becomes illegal that you targeted, you don't have to discard any cards.
Nice.
So.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. So next up, we got the second legendary, which is Furion. He's a 4 CP 8k. If you control a Job Rebel forward, the cost to play him is reduced by 2. If your opponent controls 3 or more forwards, Furion gains 1,000 power and haste, and put one back up into the break zone until the end of the turn. Furion gains first strike and brave.
I think this card's great. I think he can make that. Like, this is the guy. I think this guy makes a card like Dominion Legionnaire playable. The fact that you can play this guy and guy for 5 CP seems really good to me. And then you've got 2 8Ks on the board. And as your opponent goes wide, he gets better. And like the fact that you can give him, the fact that he can get all these keywords, and the fact that you can just kind of break your backups that have kind of already done their duty, like Paravir is a great example. Play that thing, all your guys can't be broken. Break that to Furion, and then just you're kind of off to the races again, and you're able to. I think this card is. There's a lot I want to do with this guy, and I can't wait to try some things out. I think he's really good.
Yeah, I think if you could consistently make this guy cost 2, he's insane.
Absolutely.
So if that's good, if like the other rebels are good enough to see play,
Mm-hmm.
He'll be the reason they see play.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, I mean the fact that he can get every keyword again is nuts. It also lets you break backups that normally can't break to overlay them, which is great. So I think this guy's gonna be good. I think you'll see maybe some kind of splash deck with fire that plays this and Guy, and I think this is the reason Guy will see play.
And I think the big thing you're looking to break are like cards like Paravir, or you're running some like maybe this Rebels an 8, and you break the selfie after you get your Zell, and you can play another selfie and get something else. So yeah, I think this guy is just I keep saying guy. I'm confusing myself with the other guy, with actual guy. But no, I think Furion's a really good card, and I can't wait to mess around with him.
Yeah, for sure. So next card is Mont Blanc. He's a
Mm-hmm.
2 CP backup for fire, tap, choose one forward, deal it 2,000 for each. FFTA 2 forward control.
I like him. I think he's a fantastic addition to the Tactics Advanced 2 title deck. He's also great for starting, oh, hi, Mark, pictures on Facebook groups. But that's about it. I don't really see him doing much in Constructed unless you're playing some kind of like Fire Wind or Fire Lightning Tactics Advanced 2 heavy deck. But I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just don't see much happening with that.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
yeah. The thing is, you like four. You'd have to have 4 forwards out with Final Fantasy Advance 2 for this to do 8K, and then
Yeah.
it's really good. But I mean, again, it's cheap, so it's not like
Yeah.
you don't.
That's the big thing. It's a fire and tap, which I think is very fairly costed for what it could potentially do.
Yeah, so I think if maybe you can get this doing 4K, it's probably okay.
Sure, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I don't like is it's a heroic, and again, I don't want to. I don't think I want to pull this in my pre-release.
Man, you'd have a real bad time if two of your packs is this guy and the Laguna that's in the. We'll talk. I know when we go over ice, we'll talk about that guy. But
Yeah, I mean, although maybe you get enough
yeah.
Tactics Advance 2 stuff to make him worth it, even in
I
even
can see
sealed.
that.
All
I
right,
can
so
see that.
last card we got is Ruby Dragon, the 2 CP monster for 1 fire, 1 colorless. Put him in the break zone. Use a forward, deal at 8K.
I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible either because it is a kind of an on-demand piece of removal. I think it's good and limited. I don't know if it sees playing constructed. It's good and limited, and I think it's good in title for 8 decks. That's about it.
Yeah, it's good and sealed. I think
Yeah.
it's terrible. I think it's terrible in standard. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why I'd play this over anything else
You
that does
you
8K.
wouldn't because it's telegraphed.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's why I think it's good and sealed because you do have that removal on demand, and obviously it's an 8, so it's good for title.
Yeah, so that's it for Fire this set. I'm not gonna go out of my way and say that Fire's gonna be great like anytime soon. I feel like it's still gonna kind of do what it already does now.
Mm-hmm.
I really want Bird Lady to work. I hope that she does, and I hope that that's what like makes Mono Fire good. But I still don't feel like there's enough.
Yeah, I think it's going to continue to be, like I said at the top of this, I think it's going to continue to be I think it's a fantastic splash element, and that's kind of where it's going to stay. Because I think every time we were talking about a card, we were like, oh, I like this in Fire Ice. I like it in Fire Wind. Like, that's kind of what's been the problem with Fire because we keep getting shit like Bahamut, right? Where it's like, why can't you just give us this card on its own merits?
Yeah.
But that's another soapbox for another time.
Yeah, so that's it for the Fire review. Next up, I believe, will be Ice. So look
Ooh, I
forward
can't
to
wait
that.
for that one.
Yeah, and we're going to continue with all the elements and hopefully have them done all pretty soon. So catch you guys later. See ya.
Toodles.